Welcome to another episode of Warehouse and Operations as a Career. I'm Marty, and today let's answer a couple of questions that came to me this week. I've been working with several job boards in the social media world lately, and we get asked all too frequently about the positions of order selecting and forklift driving. I'm pretty passionate about both these positions, and yes, they are the short-term goal for many of us. They typically pay well and can offer us a good solid career, really long-term employment in many instances. We've spoken to both of these positions in previous discussion, but there seems to be a lot of interest in them now with all the job postings and advertisements hitting the classifieds, and recruiters offering interviews for them. We're going to kind of get off our planned schedule of topics, but hey, we got asked to talk about them, so let's dive a bit deeper into the hiring process for them and see if we can't map out a plan and a path to obtain our goal. In the distribution world, an order selector will probably be operating an electric pallet jack or a forklift, maybe even a tugger or some type of powered industrial equipment. We haven't spoken a lot about the tugger, and it's referred to by many different names, but it's really just a piece of equipment that you can stand on, usually within a driver's compartment that buggies or carts can be connected to, and you pull them through the warehouse aisles, selecting your orders of product, placing them on the carts or pallets on the carts. As we've mentioned several times, yep, I'm going to talk about powered industrial equipment training again. Here in the States, the regulation is 29 CFR 1910.178, which put simply means that if we operate any type of powered equipment, we must be trained in the safe operation of that equipment. Please check out OSHA.gov for the complete reading. It's honestly more interesting than you'd think. Anyway, I know I talk about it often, but please don't get on or operate any equipment. Don't even attempt to move it if you have not been trained to do so. Just stay away from it. It can be dangerous, and it's actually the law. And we'll be discussing, shortcuts, or really the lack of them here in just a little bit. In my experiences, especially in the position of order selection, you should have or will need at least 3 to 6 months, sometimes up to a year or two experience operating a piece of equipment to be hired on with a new company. I know there is companies offering a certification card and equipment training for X number of dollars out there, and I suppose that's all good and fine, but that does not bring with it the experience that many new companies are going to ask for, and that's going to be needed for that position. Remember, almost all employers, at least every employer I know of, will train and certify you for free upon hire. You're going to need to be on-sited at the dock that you'll be working on or observed by a trainer, and the employer will or should be willing to do this for you as it's in their best interest as well. Almost every month I hear about a young man or woman that's gone and paid for a course, then goes to an employer and is really disenchanted to learn they need experience to perform the job or to be hired on. So let's talk about shortcuts. How does one get the needed experience? We talked a bit about what employers or recruiters are looking for in an order selection episode. Let's see, that was episode 12, titled Order Selection. And we went a little deeper, I think, with episode 33. It was titled A Few Thoughts on Order Selecting with James, where we spoke with James, really a top gun and really an accomplished order selector. Check those two shows out. I think you'll find them really interesting. Oh, and we did a program with a warehouse trainer. Let me look. That was episode 19, titled Warehouse Training Techniques and Advice from a Professional, where Anthony does a great job sharing his thoughts on training with us. We talked about order selecting and different training techniques that are used. There I go, kind of straying off subject again, but those are good episodes to check out since we're talking about order selecting. Okay, we talk about experience. So how does one get the experience? Dictionary.com helps and defines experience as a particular instance of personally encountering or undergoing something. It also states The observing, encountering, or undergoing of things as they occur in the course of time. I feel what our new employer is looking for, or what they mean by experience, is that we already know how to operate the equipment and are proficient at it. That we already know the importance of selecting the correct products and the quantity counts, and that we know the meaning of productivity and can already produce at an expected productivity level. These things aren't hard to learn either, but we have to learn them. We've spoken several times that our warehouse education is kind of like going to school or college. Well, kind of anyway, and we have been paid while investing the time to attend. The courses in warehousing aren't that long. They're not measured in semesters or years of completion. We can easily determine how long each course takes by paying attention to the instructor or trainer, following the directions that's given to us, being on time for our shifts, every scheduled shift, and letting our management team know that we want another position with more responsibility and better pay. I honestly know individuals, and I mean many individuals, that has gone from a lower paying general labor position to order selecting in really less than a year. That's not a big investment of our time. I know it's hard to accept a position for a couple of dollars less than what we want, but if the company we're looking at offers us that opportunity and they have an order selecting position we're after, I feel it should be a done deal. Let's take a general labor position, get our foot in the door, and learn all the jobs between us and that order selecting position. All the way letting our managers know what we want and where we're headed. I think that's the only way and the shortcut to getting the experience in that order selecting position that we're chasing. I mentioned responsibility and better pay. Order selecting pays more because it carries with it more responsibility. Now you're going to work hard. It's hard work. It's typically a productivity position. You'll have loaders or drivers waiting, standing by to load those orders. And believe me, a front dock area can get backed up in a hurry when orders or batches aren't coming out of the aisles in a timely manner and in the proper order. In a large distribution facility, it has to happen like clockwork, or every task happening after hours is going to be affected. And it's our sole responsibility to make sure the customer or account receives the right item in the correct quantity. Selection systems or computer-driven scanners or audio units may be giving us the slot number or location to select from, but it is still our duty to verify the correct item is in the slot and we know what we're pulling. I've yet to hear of a system where our supervisor or manager doesn't explain during our training to read the screen or label and check the product information on the box. Think about it, a receiver could have tagged the wrong item, or a fork driver may have placed it in the wrong location. It's still our responsibility to see that the customer gets what he or she has ordered. It's really kind of a tough job. We need to go into it realizing it's productivity based typically. We're going to get frustrated sometimes, especially if we're selecting with 30 other order selectors, all waiting for a slot or a location to be replenished with product. And time is really our enemy in the production environments. As an order selector, our travel time or drive time is not counted in our cases per hour number or our percentage level, so we have to think ahead. Plan our routes through the warehouse so we drive the absolute least we can. If we don't have a pull or a box to grab in an aisle, don't drive down it. Those kinds of things we'll be learning with experience. I just mentioned forklift driver. It's another position we'll probably be told we're looking for people with experience. More often than not, I see people moving to the forklift from another piece of equipment. Maybe in smaller environments, we could be trained to operate forklifts early on in our employment, but if in the larger production or distribution environments where productivity is stressed, it will actually help us to come from another task or position. If we know every item by sight and know how the receiving or inbound department works and the shipping or outbound side of things happen, we'll be much more proficient at our task. The two basic positions involving forklift jobs are called put away, meaning we're in the receiving side of things, and replenishment, or the shipping of goods. If our job is a put-away driver, we may be responsible for hauling pallets of product off the dock once it has been received and placing it in its pick location where the selectors will be looking for it, or placing it in a reserve location where it will be stored until it's needed for selection. This brings us to the replenishment driver task. It will be our responsibility to replenish or replace the pick slot once the product has been removed or the pallet has been emptied by the selectors, retrieving another pallet of product from the reserve system and replenishing the slot or location. Again, we'll find it's our responsibility to confirm we've retrieved the correct items when pulling them, from the reserves, and again before we place it into the pick location for the selectors. Imagine for a moment, the wrong pallet is placed in the pick slot and we have like 100 cases, on the pallet. Maybe 30 selectors stop there at that slot and select one case for their order. And none of them catch it, that it's the wrong product or we've put the wrong product in the slot. Potentially 100 customers could receive something that they cannot use and they did not order. And that's not a good thing. Something like that is called a misship or a mispull, and it can count against us, even cost us money in the productivity world. Another not so great error is called a short, or sometimes not on truck or not on order. That's where we as forklift drivers or order selectors did not pull the item or maybe the correct quantity, or it could have fallen off our pallets as we turned a corner, or maybe we just placed it in the wrong zone or part of a pallet and it was buried within the load and overlooked by the driver. And let's not forget the heaviest responsibility we'll be carrying with either of these jobs is that of safety. We're operating powered equipment to perform our jobs. We're driving it in close proximity to people and other equipment operators. As we would have been trained in its operation, it is our duty to operate it safely. As you can tell, I think both order selecting and positions of forklift driving are great and rewarding jobs. And both can be strong careers or excellent stepping stones to other positions. If you have any specific questions or thoughts, please shoot us an email at host@warehouseandoperationsasacareer.com and we'll contact you and get them answered. I'll put you in contact with someone that knows the position like the back of their hand and help you in any way that they can. Don't let the stress or frustration or the lack of experience hold you back from either of these positions. They're both worth the investment or the time to learn. You can get that needed experience, you just have to get your foot in the door and communicate with your management. Let them know what your goal is and what you want to do. If you're enjoying our programs, finding any value in our discussions, please remember to check out our Facebook and Twitter feeds. We can be found on both of those at WHSEANDOPS. We share job board information quite a bit on Twitter, if you're looking for positions, and pose that occasional question with our Facebook page. A quick follow or like would greatly be appreciated. Until next week, please practice safety with work and home both. It's so important to our family members and co-workers as well as ourselves.